Christopher Walken built a career on intensity and that haunting voice. The Oscar winner, the legend who never breaks character. But behind those piercing eyes lived something nobody talks about. 7 co-stars, 7 nightmares. At 81, the stories finally surfaced. Some rivalries simmered quietly, others exploded on set. Number 7, Jack Black. Jack Black thought working with Christopher Walken would be amazing. He was dead wrong. They starred together in Envy back in 2004, a comedy about jealousy and a spray that makes dog poop disappear. Yes, that was the actual plot. Black played the goofy inventor while Walken showed up as a mysterious drifter named J-Man. The movie bombed hard, but the real disaster happened behind the scenes. Black arrived on set with his usual energy. Loud jokes, constant improvisation, bouncing off walls between takes. He'd riff for minutes trying different versions of every line. The crew loved it at first. Walken did not. He'd stand there silently watching Black go through his 10th variation of a simple line. His face never changed, but people noticed his jaw tightening. It does, but it depends on the director. Those scenes were shot under duress, which helped in that case. They were shot in the middle of the night, difficult conditions, and you can see it. During one scene at a carnival, Black improvised for nearly 20 minutes straight. The director kept his cameras rolling, hoping to catch something magical. Walken waited patiently in the background. When they finally cut, Walken walked over to the director and said something nobody could hear. A production assistant later told a friend that Walken asked if they were making a movie or watching a one-man show. The breaking point came during a diner scene. Black and Ben Stiller were supposed to pitch the poop spray invention to Walken's character. The script had clear dialogue. Black threw it all out and started improvising wildly, making sound effects and physical comedy. Walken sat across the table completely still. His eyes never left Black. When the director yelled, "Cut!" Walken stood up without a word and walked to his trailer. He stayed there for 2 hours. A crew member said Walken muttered something about needing more pauses in his life. Another said he heard Walken tell someone that comedy shouldn't feel like a tornado. After that day, Walken barely spoke to Black off camera. He'd show up, do his scenes exactly as written, and leave. No small talk, no hanging around. Black tried to joke with him a few times, but Walken just stared until the moment became uncomfortable. Years later, when interviewers mentioned Envy, Walken would simply say it was an experience and change the subject. He never named Black specifically, but he never had to. His silence said everything. Black, meanwhile, has joked about the film being terrible, but never mentions Walken's coldness. The dislike was one-sided, but absolute. Walken couldn't stand Black's chaos, and he never pretended otherwise. But Walken's frustration with Jack Black was nothing compared to what his other Envy co-star put him through. Ben Stiller joined Envy thinking his chemistry with Jack Black would carry the film wrong again. While Black annoyed Walken with endless improvisation, Stiller frustrated him for completely different reasons. Stiller played the jealous friend, the straight man, to Black's wild inventor. But Walken felt Stiller's comedic control sucked the air out of every scene they shared. The movie's script gave Walken a mysterious character who appeared at key moments. Stiller's character was supposed to react to Walken's strange wisdom, but Stiller kept adjusting his reactions, his timing, his facial expressions. He'd ask for multiple takes to get the perfect confused look or frustrated sigh. Walken would deliver his lines the same way every time perfectly. Stiller would change everything constantly. During a scene where Stiller's character meets Walken in a bar, they shot it 17 times. 17. Walken said his lines identically each take. Stiller tried different approaches, different emotions, different physical movements. By take 12, Walken's patience was gone. He started responding to Stiller's questions with single words. Yes. No, fine, sure. The crew noticed Walken checking his watch between takes. The worst moment came during a scene involving the poop spray. The comedy relied on gross-out humor and awkward reactions. Stiller wanted to play it big, really sell the disgust. Walken stood next to him, refusing to react at all. The director asked Walken to show more emotion. Walken replied that his character wouldn't find it funny. They compromised. But you can see in the final film that Walken looks bored in every frame. Offset, Walken avoided Stiller completely. The cast would sometimes grab dinner together. Walken never joined when Stiller was there. If Stiller entered the craft services tent, Walken would finish his coffee and leave within minutes. It wasn't dramatic or loud. It was cold and calculated. Walken simply removed himself from Stiller's presence whenever possible. In later interviews, Stiller talked about how the film failed and what went wrong. He mentioned the script, the concept, the timing. Never Walken. But when asked about working with Walken specifically, Stiller's answers became short and generic. He'd say Walken was professional and talented, then quickly move to another topic. Walken's quiet contempt for Stiller seems minor compared to his feelings about the actor who turned one sketch into a curse. Number 5. Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell created Christopher Walken's least favorite moment in entertainment history. Saturday Night Live, April 2000. The More Cowbell sketch. Millions of people loved it. Walken hated everything about it. Not the sketch itself, not the performance, but what came after. The endless references, the impressions, the cowbell jokes that followed him for decades. Is that you, Stanley? How's Bayou? Long time no see. Big hug. Big hug. Big hug. Wow. The sketch was simple. A recording session for Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper, with Ferrell playing an overenthusiastic cowbell player. Walken played the music producer demanding more cowbell. The sketch became legendary instantly. Walken's deadpan delivery of I Got a Fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell turned into one of SNL's most quoted lines ever. I was thinking about this today in preparation for our interview. You have had so many iconic roles, so many great performances. Yet one of the things that probably you might be best known for, or among your best-known performances, would be in the standout live sketch Cowbell. Have you found that to be true? Yes, it was a very good sketch. Oh, I was in a restaurant in Singapore, and the couple at the next table at one point, the guy said to me, "Chris, this salad needs more cowbell." Walken didn't improvise that line. He read it as written. He showed up, did his job professionally, and left. He thought it was funny enough, a decent sketch that would air and be forgotten like most SNL bits. He was completely wrong. The sketch exploded into pop culture. People started yelling more cowbell at him everywhere. Airports, restaurants, movie premieres. Strangers would approach him, banging invisible cowbells and doing terrible Walken impressions. What bothered Walken most was how it overshadowed his serious work. He'd won an Oscar for The Deer Hunter, playing a traumatized soldier in one of cinema's most powerful performances. He'd played memorable villains, complex characters, dramatic roles. But suddenly, everyone only wanted to talk about cowbell. Interviewers would bring it up constantly. Award shows would reference it. Other actors would quote it to him. Walken blamed Ferrell for making the sketch too successful. A crew member from a later film said Walken mentioned that some comedians don't know when to let things die. When Ferrell continued referencing the sketch in interviews and other SNL appearances, years later, Walken's frustration grew. The sketch became Ferrell's bit, but Walken was trapped in it forever. They never worked together again after that night. When Ferrell became a massive movie star, he'd occasionally mention Walken with admiration in interviews. Walken never returned the favor. At the SNL 40th anniversary special in 2015, both attended. Ferrell did a bit referencing old sketches. Walken sat in the audience, unsmiling. They didn't interact at the after-party. Friends of Walken said he doesn't hate Ferrell personally. He hates what Ferrell represents. The dumbing down of his legacy into a catchphrase. The reduction of decades of serious craft into a comedy punchline. Ferrell succeeded wildly, and Walken can't escape the shadow of that success. The resentment runs deep, quiet, and permanent. Every time someone mentions cowbell, Walken dies a little inside. But if a comedy sketch bothered Walken this much, imagine how he felt about a real tension that built during an actual thriller. Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken worked together on Nick of Time in 1995, and the tension between them was real. The movie was filmed in real time, meaning 90 minutes on screen matched 90 minutes in the story. Depp played a regular man forced to kill a governor while his young daughter was held hostage. Walken played the quiet, dangerous villain controlling everything. The idea was bold and the pressure on set was intense. That's what I mean. When you get really good at it, then you make that part of the scene. Now, when somebody's like going zonk over here while I'm talking to you, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about acting in movies. I look at them. But then when they watch the dailies, they just saw me do like, oh, that's interesting. Depp came into the film fully committed to method acting. He had just received praise for Ed Wood and took every role very seriously. He liked to stay in character between takes, talk deeply about emotions, and understand every motivation behind a scene. He believed preparation made the performance stronger. Walken worked in the opposite way. He showed up calm and relaxed, delivered exactly what was needed, often in one take, and then waited until the next scene. He didn't rehearse much, didn't overthink, and didn't talk emotions. For him, acting was about instinct and timing. Problems started early. In their first big scene together, Walken was ready almost immediately. Depp wanted more rehearsal and more discussion with the director. Walken waited silently while Depp talked for nearly 20 minutes. When they finally rolled cameras, Walken nailed the scene on the first take. Depp asked for several more. Walken stayed quiet, but crew members noticed his impatience. Because the film had to move in real-time, delays caused real issues. Depp's careful process slowed things down. Walken's fast, clean style kept things moving. The director tried to balance both praising Depp's dedication while asking Walken to stay patient. One confrontation scene brought the tension to its peak. The two actors stood inches apart in extreme close-ups. Depp was emotional and fully inside the character. Walken was calm, cold, and controlled. Between takes, they didn't break eye contact. A crew member later said it felt like watching two animals sizing each other up. The director stopped filming. The tension was perfect. Off-set, they barely spoke. Depp stayed in his trailer. Walken read newspapers in his chair. During interviews, they were polite but distant. Years later, neither talks much about the other. There was respect, but clearly they were never meant to work together again. Depp's method intensity annoyed Walken, but it was nothing compared to the competition he felt with another method legend decades earlier. No, I haven't worked with him since, but I suppose everything I've done after that had a lot to do with what I observed at that time. So he was an inspiration to you? Oh, absolutely. A mentor. And to a lot of people, And just to watch him do what he does, I've never forgotten that. Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken created unforgettable moments in The Deer Hunter, but behind the scenes there was quiet tension. Both were New York actors. Both believed in serious acting. Both wanted to be the best. De Niro had already won an Oscar for The Godfather Part 2. Walken was still fighting to prove himself. Their rivalry came to a head during the film's famous Russian roulette scenes. The Deer Hunter followed steelworkers from Pennsylvania whose lives are shattered by the Vietnam War. De Niro played Michael, the strong and controlled leader. Walken played Nick, his best friend, who slowly breaks under the trauma of war. Director Michael Cimino demanded extreme realism. De Niro took that demand further than anyone. He lived in working-class bars, learned steel mill routines, and spent time with real veterans. He fully became his character. Walken worked differently. He trusted instinct over preparation. He didn't need to live like Nick to understand him. He believed emotion came from inside, not from research or lifestyle changes. This difference created tension on set. De Niro stayed intense between takes and pushed others to match his energy. Walken felt De Niro was doing too much. De Niro felt Walken wasn't doing enough. The Russian roulette scenes were the breaking point. They were dark, brutal, and emotionally draining. Walken's character is forced to play a deadly game in a Saigon gambling den. Filming took days. The atmosphere was heavy. De Niro watched closely from the sidelines. Crew members said it felt like he was judging Walken's performance. Walken noticed and grew irritated. During one difficult take, Walken completely broke down. The character was mentally destroyed. When the scene ended, De Niro quietly said something to him. No one heard what it was. Walken's expression changed instantly. He walked away without replying. Some thought it was praise. Others believed it was criticism disguised as kindness. The movie became a classic. Walken won Best Supporting Actor. De Niro was nominated. They thanked the cast, but not each other. The respect remained. The closeness never did. But De Niro's competitive intensity wasn't the wildest energy Walken ever faced. The next actor brought pure chaos that Walken couldn't control. Number 2, Dennis Hopper. Do you know who I am? Mr. Wally, I give up. Who are you, the Antichrist? Dennis Hopper drove Christopher Walken crazy during True Romance, and that's saying something. Their scene together in 1993 became one of the most famous confrontations in movie history. Hopper played a father being tortured. Walken played a calm, terrifying mob boss. The scene included a brutal monologue about Sicilian ancestry. On screen, it was perfect. Behind the scenes, it was exhausting for Walken. Hopper arrived on set full of chaotic energy. He talked non-stop between takes, paced around, told long stories, and constantly improvised. Director Tony Scott loved it. Walken didn't. The scene was meant to be Walken's moment of control and menace, but Hopper kept pulling attention with unpredictable choices. The monologue was written by Quentin Tarantino and memorized word for word, but Hopper kept changing small things. Different pauses, sudden gestures, new tongues. Every take was different. Walken had to react in real time while keeping his character quiet and threatening. Crew members noticed Walken looked genuinely irritated in some shots, which actually made his character feel more dangerous. During one take, Hopper suddenly laughed in the middle of the speech. It wasn't scripted. For a brief second, Walken's eyes showed real frustration before he regained control. Tony Scott loved it and kept the take. When they watched playback, Walken asked if another take was needed. Scott said no. Walken simply nodded. Filming the death scene made things worse. They shot it repeatedly from different angles. Between takes, Hopper joked about dying, laughed at the fake blood, and shared stories from past films. Walken stayed silent, seated and focused. A makeup artist said the contrast was striking. Hopper was loud and alive. Walken was cold and contained. When filming ended, Hopper tried to praise Walken and said he loved working with him. Walken thanked him politely and walked away. They never became friends. At the premiere, they took one photo together, then stayed apart all night. The scene became legendary. The experience did not. Hopper's chaos frustrated Walken deeply. But the number one spot belongs to a rivalry that defines two completely opposite approaches to acting. Number 1, Al Pacino. And it has to do with your charisma, with your fame, with your whatever you know, which can be powerful. So it's tricky when you endorse something because people are liable to believe you. Al Pacino represents everything Christopher Walken dislikes about acting. Pacino is loud, explosive, and theatrical. He shouts, gestures wildly, and dominates every scene. Walken does the opposite. He whispers pauses and controls moments through silence. Both are legends. Both are New York actors from the same generation. Yet they have never worked together, and many believe that choice is intentional. The roots of this tension go back to the 1970s New York theater scene. Both men were rising at the same time, studying method acting and competing for similar roles. Pacino broke through early with The Godfather. Walken was still finding his footing. They attended the same auditions parties and industry events. Pacino was energetic and commanding, often the center of attention. Walken stayed quiet, observing from the sidelines. Their divide comes down to philosophy. Pacino believes in big emotions and powerful outbursts. His performances in Scarface, Scent of a Woman, and The Devil's Advocate are bold and unforgettable. Walken believes in restraint and control. His performances in The Deer Hunter, The Dead Zone, and A View to a Kill rely on silence, timing, and subtle menace. Over the decades, several directors tried to cast them together. Each time, one of them declined. Industry insiders say Pacino finds Walken too cold and strange. Walken finds Pacino too loud and obvious. Neither has ever said this openly, but their actions suggest it. In the mid-1990s, a crime film almost brought them together. Both actors were interested until they learned the other was involved. Suddenly, both had scheduling conflicts. The project quietly fell apart. At award shows, they are seated far apart. In interviews, they avoid each other's names. When asked directly, Walken calls Pacino talented and moves on. Pacino calls Walken unique and changes the subject. 7 feuds that shaped Christopher Walken's legendary career, from comedy chaos to method clashes. Walken never forgot who disrupted his process. Which rivalry surprised you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Want more Hollywood secrets nobody discusses? hit that subscribe button right now.